I'm Pedro from Coffee Parts, and today we're looking at the new Marzocco Micra, or this baby right here. It's a super cool machine that basically is a smaller version of the Marzocco Linea Mini, or 30% smaller to be exact. Now, we've worked with Marzocco for many years. We've got our name, both Coffee Parts and Pedro Lara, tiled on the factory wall in Florence, and you could say I am somewhat of a little bit of a fanboy. My first home Marzocco was actually a commercial machine, or the machine right there, which was a Linea Classic 1 group. It was a 15 amp power machine, external rotary pump, had to be plumbed in, and somewhat really a commercial machine that we made fit into the home. Since then, Marzocco really have increased their range. They came out with the GS3 as an AV and MP. Now that was similar to their commercial machines in the sense that it was a saturated brew head. Then came out the Linea Mini and now the smaller Micra, and they run integrated group heads. The difference being these machines start up a lot faster, so for homes really appropriate, but differ slightly from their commercial big brothers. But before we dive into this machine, if you haven't yet, please like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us create more and more content. So first things first, let's pull the coffee out of the Marzocco and see it in action. We preloaded the portafilter with 20 grams of coffee, and we're just gonna watch it pour. It's looking quite neat. When it comes to milk, Marzocco is really known for its nice, neat, dry steam. I really do like how simple this machine is. I know all machines are the same in terms of activating the group head, activating the steam, but there's something about the workflow on Marzocco that's always been, I guess, simplified. So the Micra, where Marzocco really nailed this machine is its footprint and startup time. This machine really is small and starts up super quick. 5 minutes for espresso and 7 minutes including steam. Now we've done a full review on the Linea Mini before, which we'll link up here if you want to dive in and see this particular machine. But when it comes to the Micra, it's very similar yet different. So they're both using twin boiler setups, with the front boiler being an integrated boiler, running dual PID and rotary pumps. Same size water tanks at 2 liters, but the steam boiler is significantly smaller, 1.6 liter on the Micra versus 3.5 liters on the Linea Mini. And that's because it's a different use case. The Micra really is a machine made for home. Do your couple coffees in the morning, entertain some friends, and it's temperature stable to around 6 coffees, one after the other. When the Linea Mini can really perform a lot longer, generally to about 20 coffees before you start losing temperature stability. Now, with the Micra, another thing Marzocco has done was reduce some of the thermal mass of the portafilter. Having a bigger thermal mass in the portafilter means the portafilter takes longer for the heat of the group head to be absorbed into the portafilter and not deplete temperature as the coffee is coming through. The way they've done this is by making the bottom half of the portafilter plastic. Plastic doesn't take time to absorb thermal mass. From that respect, it means the machine starts up faster, but also means the portafilter is effectively 2-in-1. So either a double portafilter or quickly turns into a bottomless portafilter. Actually 3-in-1 if you include making it a single portafilter, which I feel will never be used. On the Linea Mini, the portafilter is the same portafilter as the GS3 and the commercial range. It's a full stainless portafilter. So it does take longer to heat up, and in some ways, it feels more real. I'm still yet to see how the adoption of this 2-in-1 with the bottom half being plastic will be taken by the market. A few years ago, Cafe Lab did do a 2-in-1 portafilter, although it was fully stainless. So it's gonna be an interesting one to see. For me personally, I do like the full metal approach. Still a little bit more, but that's only my personal opinion. And I've only just had this machine for a very small amount of time, so I'm still getting used to the plastic section of this portafilter. So how do these two machines compare? On paper, they're somewhat similar. They're both twin boiler PID controlled machines running rotary pumps with 2-litre water reservoirs hidden just behind the drip tray. Both machines use integrated brew boilers to allow them to start up faster, and that's somewhat different to the commercial range of La Marzocco, which runs saturated group heads. But for this application, makes a lot of sense. They're both lever activated, but the lever really is just a micro switch, so it either activates or deactivates the group head with pre-infusion control through the app. One big difference between the two machines is the size of the steam boiler. You got 1.6 litre steam boiler on the Micra versus a 3.5 steam boiler on the Linea Mini. Obviously 3.5 is a larger boiler, but it's also because these machines are built for different applications. So the Linea Mini really is built as a home machine. Make your coffee in the morning, entertain a few friends over, and really have that small footprint, quick startup machine to make a couple of coffees. They're temperature stable to about 6 espressos in the row, and after that they do lose a bit of temperature stability, while the Linea Mini tends to be stable to about 20 coffees in a row. Obviously, the bigger machines, the GS3s, are pretty much stable constantly through any amount of coffee. When it comes to connectivity, both machines run the same app, so a lot of the functionality is the same between both machines. You've got your scheduling in terms of turning on and off the machine, both on a calendar and ad hoc. You got your ability to control your brew temperature, your steam pressure, and even whether you want your steam boiler on or off. So you might have your steam boiler off if you're just say only an espresso drinker. There's no point having that steam boiler on, but then you can quickly activate it if someone's over and wants a milk-based coffee. You can also go into the analytics of the app and kind of see how many coffees you've made and what your interval is till your service. And with the La Marzocco app, and La Marzocco being a really design conscious company, the app really is beautiful. The GUI is easy to use and it's got a nice interface. We play around with a lot of interfaces from a lot of different manufacturers and they're not all as friendly as the La Marzocco app. So on that note, I really do like it. Although it's something I personally don't use very much. So like everything, this machine does have a couple little negatives. One thing is the paddle. It's not really a mechanical paddle. All it is basically an on and off switch. So as you move the paddle across, it activates the group head. As you move the paddle back, it deactivates the group head. Through the app, you can control the pre-infusion and pre-brew, but effectively it's on and off. Another negative is it doesn't have volumetrics or flow control. It is an on and off system. But in saying that, it's not what this machine is designed for. If you're looking for flow control, you're probably moving up to the La Marzocco GS3 MP. And one last little negative that sometimes bugs me is you can't see your water level of the machine. So when the water level runs out, you do get the blue light here flashing. It's the same in both machines, the light flashes, but you only find out this once the water levels run out. So sometimes if you wanted to see, okay, I'm halfway through, maybe I should fill up, you do have to move the drip tray out of the way and look at the water reservoir. It's not a big negative, but it is something that can get a little bit frustrating at times, mainly when you got friends over and you're making multiple coffees. But these aren't massive negatives, and to be fair, they're not really what this machine has been designed to cater for. When it comes to positives, they really do outweigh the negatives. Firstly, both these machines are quite simple, yet La Marzocco nail it and build them so well. They do what they're meant to do and they do it well. The espresso is consistent and replicable. The steam is awesome, both in the smaller boiler and the bigger boiler, because these machines have different use cases. The Micra really is that small footprint, awesome performance for small amount of coffees, really that home machine. When the Linea Mini takes it that step further, it really becomes a home, office or coffee cart machine. So from that perspective, La Marzocco have nailed the brief, and what they've always done well is the design and build. There's something about these machines you can't put into words, but when you look at them, when you use them, you really do enjoy the moment and they do feel special. And I feel that's also because of the brand. The brand does have that cult following, and that cult following does kind of create a different atmosphere, different story. It's one of the few brands that people have tattooed on their bodies, and it reminds me of the Harley Davidsons of this world, where it's got such a following that people do anything for La Marzocco. So the Linea Micra is the entry point to the legendary La Marzocco brand. It sits below the Linea Mini, but it still retains the same classical design, handmade in Florence. And these machines really are built to last. I'd like to know your thoughts. What are your thoughts on the Micra? Let me know on the comments below. And if this video has brought you value, hit that thumbs up. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe. Thank you and see you on the next video.